Hello and welcome to my project. This project is part of the Principles for Security Engineering. My project was to look at malware analysis. My project was to perform a malware analysis by reverse engineering and reviewing systems. The project that I had set up was in basically three phases. First one was to learn the tools, the setup and the environment, and what I needed to actually do to perform a malware analysis. The second part was to attempt to analyze the malware. Third part was to document and publish the process I used for that. Okay, significant challenges I had in the project. So while I was working on the project, there was a number of challenges I had as I started. Doing my research, I discovered that no one was providing Hyper-V images. I chose to use Hyper-V, that was the hypervisor of my choice. But in doing so, I was stuck with no source material. The only way I could do this was to learn how to convert a VMware OVA to a Hyper-V environment. So I was able to do that, created some scripts to do that as well. In the end, I did end up using native vanilla images of VMs and applying scripts over the top to convert them to analysis machines. I ended up using Flare VM in the end as my choice. It was running on a Windows 10 desktop. The next issue that I found was around resources, trying to locate malware as an example. I was able to find a few repositories, however, most of those repositories were compiled execs. I was hoping to find a lot more script-based malware that I could use as an example. Script-based analysis is usually generally easier than exec. The other part that I found a challenge was tooling, trying to understand some of the tooling that people are using. The other last challenge I want to talk about was knowledge of the tools that generated the ASM. So when I was able to get some malware and decompile it, I hit ASM. It was x86 ASM, and it was a lot harder for me to understand that. Which leads me to what happened in my project. During my project, there was a major roadblock I hit in week 3, which really set me back about 2 or 3 weeks in work, almost back to the beginning. And it was that level of assembly knowledge that I didn't know. I was expecting to have some script-based malware, didn't get that, and ended up with some ASM. To fix this, I had to go back and re-research how to do malware analysis. In performing that, I switched platforms from a Linux platform to a Windows platform, Windows 10 to be exact, and started using a Flare VM image from FireEye. This is great. Had the same amount of tools as what you did in the Linux environment, was running on Windows, and was easier for me to follow. So major achievements I had during it. Learned that failure is an option. Always is in engineering. It's an option that you learn from, and if you learn from it, good failure. So I was able to do that. I was able to confirm some of my knowledge in Hyper-V and some of my scripting abilities to convert images. That was really good. Another major achievement is the sheer number of tools. There was about 15 tools in all to perform the analysis. Proudest part of the project is it was a challenge to start with. It took me from an area that I was sort of a bit interested in, not very comfortable in, to being able to dive deep into it, give it a good shot, fail, and learn from that failure. So in reflection, overall the project was a challenge. Definitely was probably the hardest of the two that I've done so far. So it's a big joy when you get to see at the end of it that you're actually able to see what the code is doing to an environment, able to understand how it's working, how it's persisting through restarts. So it was a really good, really challenging project.